I could have gotten better health care.
You telling me the farm was worth $1.2 million? Damn, I would have sold it too.
Yeah. Instead, I was saving on healthcare costs. That's why I was on my deathbed. I'm going to talk about a genre that I know I've played a lot more than you, which is life sim. But there is a very, very common thing that comes into play when we're talking about the good old-fashioned, cozy game life sim, which is you inherited a farm. And
I've played a fair amount, not as much as you, for sure.
Sure.
But I've played a fair amount of life sims, and the amount of times that they go, oh, by the way, here's your new farm. It's kind of free, or maybe you washed up on the island, and it's you can have this house.
Yeah. Here's a plot of land, because it's a survival crafting game, too. But
this was your grandfather's house, and you've inherited it.
Yeah. Obviously that is the Stardew Valley model, which is hey, your grandpa died and gave you the farm, and wouldn't you like to go to a better life and not work for JoJo anymore? And so off you pop. But, even then, they sort of took it from Harvest Moon and ones that came before, where literally you inherit a farm, and now it's your farm, and what do you want to do with the farm? And then all of the imitators that have come past Stardew Valley have used the same basic formula. Somebody left you this farm. Boy, wouldn't you feel so lucky if someone just gifted you a farm upon their death? That would be great.
Yeah, I'd probably sell it, honestly.
Just sell the farm.
I even inherited this rather large plot of developable land.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, I'm not a farmer. I can sell it.
Yeah. I grow only sorghum. Just growing grain crops now, folks.
That is a trope that, I get it, I guess. But, there's so many other ways you could do that.
It has to be done for the convenience of the game.
Sure.
From a game.
I get the buy-in.
Yeah.
I get the buy-in. But maybe, couldn't you even just be like, hey, there was just a really good deal on a plot of land and you jumped on it?
Sure.
Or even if a game wanted to go from the get-go and be like, you have X amount of money to spend on these randomly generated plots of land.
Mm-hmm.
This was your goal. Set up the story. You've always wanted to do it, and you finally struck out on your own.
Sure.
To build a homestead, and these are the plots available to you, or this plot was available, and you snagged it at a low price.
Mm-hmm.
And now you've got to work because you need to pay off all the loans.
Sure. If we're talking about my time at Portia, it's your father's workshop. It's something that you've inherited, but it serves the same basic purpose.
Yeah. We're talking about Moonlighter. It's the shop.
Tell me if you like this idea, though. If we start the game earlier than that point, and we have you enter into the town, the main hub town, you have to eventually buy one of the open plots of land. But you have to work in the shops. You have to get an apartment there. Or you have to figure out how to live in that town, in the town itself, before you go off and get your own place and that kind of thing. Which would be also an interesting thing, because that gives you more of a relationship to the town itself. I don't know if you've noticed this, but a lot of times when you end up playing Stardew Valley, because I've played multiplayer with some people, they never interact with the people in the town. They're just focused on getting the farm together. And it's okay, cool, but there is a whole town there. And I wonder if having to have a portion where we start off for the first few hours of really building a relationship with the town and having to interact and work inside of the town before you go off to the countryside would actually make sense, because now you have a personal relationship that you're going into it with. I don't know. Does that seem like something that would even be fun, though?
I didn't play enough to know if that would be a fun digression from the formula or just a tedious one.
Right. Because the whole idea of having the job in the city is kind of one of the things that the escapist reality of the cozy game life sim is trying to get you away from. And
maybe we should pull maybe we should pull a thread from some more animes and isekai you from your boring grind, you know?
Yeah.
Yes, maybe the game starts with you in the city working a shitty job, kind of like Forspoken.
Oh.
You know, like Forspoken starts off with you're kind of a hoodlum, and then you get isekai'd into another dimension.
Yeah. Yeah.
So maybe we start a cozy sim like this, where it's, oh yeah, you're kind of doing this thing, and then you just kind of like fall asleep at the computer and get sucked into a video game kind of deal. Maybe that's the premise.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
yeah,
you get
yeah.
isekai'd into this world, or maybe it's just, job sim, then you actually get to do a cozy life sim, like it's a 2-part game. But like isekai you into another dimension where you're like, oh yeah, your plot of land, you wash up on it, and that's Dreamlight Valley. Dreamlight Valley did this.
Yeah, I guess they kinda did. I've got a new form of like cozy game horror that I think I accidentally came up with while you were talking. I brainstormed, which
Midnight Acres, great.
Yeah, no, not that. No, it's a cozy game. It's like a Stardew Valley and everything like that. But you're playing Stardew Valley in the game as a computer game, and you're playing it for your corporation because what you're mining is like crypto in the Stardew Valley game. So you're still beholden to the company, and like at the end of the day, you have to like step away from your desk and go back to like your regular life in the city. And so the whole notion is that like you never actually escape to the countryside, and then
oh geez, okay,
yeah you can see where like the almost esoteric horror that like comes in of like, no, you actually never escape. You're actually working for Joja Corp by playing by playing
I have an almost, I think, a better idea than that even too.
Ooh.
It's like, but that idea is you start the game as a cozy life sim, Stardew Valley style. You start and you're playing that, and then you do step away, and like it's a montage of like, maybe at the end of this game instead, is you get a montage of like you get a train ticket and like taking a backpack, getting a train ticket, going out to the country, buying a plot of land, shaking someone's hand. You get this whole thing where you've bought this empty plot of land with like a little trailer on it or something like that. And the first thing is you like putting your hoe in the ground and realizing this is way more difficult than you like, fuck.
Then it has like an end scene and it goes back out of the computer again, and it turns out you just tried to make your own startup company. You're still digitally doing it. You're still not actually there. There was a small game that I played recently. It's free on Steam if you want to check it out. It probably takes you about 30 minutes to finish. But it was called Lemonade Apocalypse. And it's
okay.
It's like a basic like casual clicker game. But the general idea is like, oh, okay, you have a lemonade stand. Okay, well, I need a few basic ingredients so that I can make it, and then, like, ship them off and everything. Oh, I get some upgrades. Congratulations, you can afford your bike back, but let's keep going. And then you get a factory, and then you get, like, a mega corporation of lemonade. And then at the end of this, like, when you've made $1 trillion with your lemonade business, you can finally afford to, like, find the quantum singularity. And it's like, hey, what does this button do? And you push the button, and it creates the end of the universe. And it's like, well, that's what that does. And that's the end of the game. Lemonade created the apocalypse. You can never escape, not even from the simple pleasures of making lemonade. Let's assume, though, that we're not actually trying to make an existential horror. And we actually do want people to enjoy, like, having a farm. I think that you can play around with this in some ways in a similar fashion to the first segment that we were talking about, where we were talking about like the Dynasty kind of gameplay, where you strike out on your own into untamed wilderness, and you set down a farmstead. You can still have towns, you can still have cities. You could also use it as a story beat, because I think one of the things that you get from the whole, like, you inherited your grandpa's farm is that your grandpa is also like a ghost in the game and comes to see if you've, accomplished what you set out to accomplish after a couple years.
Then I sell the farm. He comes in a year or two later and goes, "Who the fuck are you? I did not give you my farm."
Yeah. It's like, oh, no, sold it to me. My name is Brian, the investment banker.
Yeah, I bought this property for 1.2 million, and he goes, 1.2 million? Holy shit!
Man, I could have gotten.
It was only worth.
I could have gotten better health care.
You telling me the farm was worth $1.2 million? Damn, I would have sold it too.
Yeah. Instead, I was saving on healthcare costs. That's why I was on my deathbed.
It's not even a farm anymore. It's just a condo complex
owned by Joja. Joja created
exactly.
Joja condos.
I don't know who Joja is.
Joja Mart, remember?
No.
Oh, in Stardew Valley.
Play Stardew Valley.
In Stardew Valley, Joja is the mean corporation that you worked for that also is starting is in town and has their own supermarket and wants to like run the town. So yeah, Joja Corporation comes in and says, "We're going to build a bunch of condos." It's the condos at Grandpa's farm.
See, that actually gets me thinking. I think a plot twist would be a life sim where you're like, this farming life ain't for me. Let's build apartments.
Yeah, exactly. Make that a thing. Now you can just have tenants.
Yeah, it's very different.
That would be kind of like the cynical version of this, is like where you get other options of what you could utilize the land for. Like,
That'd be great.
I want the option to turn part of my land into a toxic waste dump.
Sure.
It's good money.
That would be so much more interesting to me than playing Stardew Valley or something like that, honestly, because then it'd be like, well, this is what the game was designed for. Technically, this is the theme, but like, also here's options.
You get an offer to just make corn because you get corn subsidies.
Yeah, 100%.
You just live off government subsidies for just making 100%. Corn. That's all you.
The town's like, why are you only growing corn instead of things we can use? It's like the government's paying me to grow corn. Why do you think?
Yeah. Exactly.
You just have a little corn cart out front.
Except it's the dent corn that you can't really eat very effectively. The stuff that they actually make you buy. Yeah, there's a lot of options there about, like, let's see if we can disappoint Grandpa.
Yeah.
That could be a whole
Grandpa
thing.
was actually Grandpa was actually kind of a dick. I don't really want his farm.
Grandpa had a Santa Claus complex. And that's why he always looked like that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he had a problem with ho-ho-hos. And you know what? That's why he died. There is a cynical version of this kind of game where you could literally just turn your farm not into like a working farm where you get to like make your fun fruit wine, but in ways that seem completely bad.
Burn down the complex for the insurance money.
You start like a paramilitary group and you make a compound so that you can wall yourself off from civilization entirely. There's a lot of options. You got the land. Create an underground bunker.
It's taking Graveyard Keeper vibes and just going off the wall with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I didn't like Graveyard Keeper though, so.
I never played it, but in that game, do you inherit the graveyard from somebody?
I don't remember exactly, but like you start having to like do a lot of things. I don't know. You should probably try it. I don't really care for the formula very much, but it's like you have to hide corpses and stuff like that.
I'm familiar with the idea behind it. Yeah, but
make sure the church doesn't find out. Yeah,
fun. It's sort of like if you had Moonlighter, but it was set in like the Sweeney Todd universe, and so you have to sell meat pies, but you. That's what they could have done with Graveyard Keeper. Have a storefront?
I think there's something in there. I haven't played it in years, and I don't know, I'd have to go back and try it. And it was one of those games where it was just very tedious to me, so.
Sure, I understand. I don't know if that's necessarily a problem with the formula that you don't like, or if it was the game itself, because
I'm not sure. I could definitely go back and try it again for a review at some point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, second chance.
Not even a review, just a second chance, yeah.
Yeah, just to see if it's anything.
There's some I've tried to do that with that just aren't worth it.
But in terms of how we can play with the formula, as we kind of wrap this segment up, inheriting the farm, it's fine. It gets you to where you need to be. It's for the sake of convenience and expedience. That makes sense to get you going. But you can expand upon it if you wanted to, similar to things that we talked about before. You could subvert that idea and then just make the farm whatever you want after that, or disappoint your relatives that you inherited the farm from.
Love that too.
Yeah, that's always a fun thing. I also think that it might be interesting to take the idea of wherever you are at, trying to do that kind of farming. Like, we don't have farms, but we've done a little bit of like gardening and other landscaping projects like that where we're at. And so it might be kind of a neat idea of taking, your average domesticated life wherever you are in the game, and just like say you've decided that you have taken up amateur gardening. Now, and you get the backyard. And you have your backyard, and now you have to figure out how you can utilize your backyard to actually do that. You didn't inherit a big farm. You just have this limited amount of space, like people normally do, and then you have to figure out how to utilize it. In a certain time frame, that would be an interesting concept to change things up.
It would be, for sure.
If you have any other ideas on what you might like to do instead, to change up the, Cozy Game Life Sim in some new and creative ways, let us know in the comments down below, so that we don't have to worry about waiting for Grandpa to kick the bucket.
Pretty much.
Yeah. I don't really like the idea of having to wait around for my relatives to die so that I can start doing things. So. Just saying.
Bucket, finally, my life as a farmer has begun.
Yeah, that feeling like at the reading of the will, where it's like, yes!
I feel like Grandpa would have appreciated your help before, and you could have learned a lot. Well, he was alive, but okay.
That actually is something you could probably do, which is like, the tutorial is you working with Grandpa on the farm, like when you were younger, to learn how to do it, and that would actually inform it. If you're looking for story reasons as to why you do it. Yeah. But anyway, let us know in the comments down below.